Now I have to turn to the big story of the afternoon, Mark Steyn. I want to read from BuzzFeed. Before Sony Pictures chair Amy Pascal attended a breakfast of Hollywood bigwigs last November with Barack Obama, she emailed her friend Scott Rudin for suggestions on what she should ask the president. In what has become the latest embarrassing email uncovered in a trove of messages leaked by a hacker who attacked Sony, Pascal wrote Rudin, "What should I ask the president at this stupid Jeffrey breakfast?" She was referring to a breakfast hosted by DreamWorks animation head and major Democratic donor Jeffrey Katzenberg. Rudin, a top film producer responsible for films like No Country for Old Men and Moneyball, responded, "Would he like to finance some movies?" Pascal responded, "I doubt it. Should I ask him if he liked Django?" Rudin responded, 12 years. Pascal quickly continued down the path of guessing Obama-preferred movies by or starring African Americans. Quote, or The Butler, or Think Like a Man. Rudin's response, right along. I bet he likes Kevin Hart. Now, Mark Steyn, that's racist.
Yeah, it is. And actually, if that had been Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mel Gibson bantering that back and forth, the media might have gone to town on it. But they cover up. They will cover up for their own when it comes to this kind of thing. By the way, if they want to do those kind of jokes about the president, then that's fine. I don't think they're particularly good or particularly witty or particularly amusing. But the fact is, there are two rules here, and if a couple of Republicans have been caught having that kind of back and forth over email, they'd be finished now.
The Reverend Al Sharpton this afternoon sharply condemned them and compared Pascal to Donald Sterling, the former L.A. Clippers owner who made his infamous racial remarks. Quote, these emails nominate Amy Pascal to be considered by some of us in the same light that we concluded and moved on the ownership of Donald Sterling of the L.A. Clippers, Sharpton said. Does that mean her head will roll?
I would be very surprised because I think there's actually two. I think there's two rules for these things, and the Hollywood liberal, the sports thing, by the way, with Donald Sterling was a very particular thing in the sense that it's a franchise, and ownership turns out not quite to be ownership. I would be very surprised if this were to cost either of these guys their eminence in Hollywood. One of the things about a supposedly multicultural, diverse society is we all have to develop. It only works if everybody's got reasonably thick skins. And as much as I have no use for Hollywood liberals, I think they should be allowed to send racist emails to each other. I'm a free speech absolutist, and if just as, for example, so-called liberal men say the foulest thing, most misogynist things about female bloggers, such as Michelle Malkin, for example. There's very few things as misogynist as the dweeby liberal male when it comes to Michelle Malkin or Michelle Bachmann or Sarah Palin or anybody else. They should have the right to be sexist. So liberal Hollywood big shots should have the right to do race jokes about the president. Did they get as far back as Amos and Andy? Step and fetch it. Go for it, you guys. If you want to be racist buffoons, every Hollywood liberal should have the right to be a racist buffoon.
They should. I'm just underscoring what you've already articulated, which is if I came on this show and began saying, I wonder what the president would nominate for the Golden Globes, and ran down a list of black-only movies, that would be the last show I did.
No, I know. I mean, it's basically one step above watermelon gags, but they're big shot liberals, and liberalism, modern American liberalism, is not about principle; it's about power. I mean, this ties back to what we were talking about. The Democrats and Republicans earlier, and they will cut anybody a pass. You think about the things that Jesse Jackson has said. You think about Al Sharpton, for example, the guy who's now complaining about Scott Rudin's remarks is the guy who said Africans invented everything years before all them Greek homos did. And Al Sharpton gets invited to the White House. Despite his homophobia, and despite all the presidents bleating about everybody should have the right to love who they love, Al Sharpton can do his Greek homo gags and still get invited